Hello, Garfield Lover 1976. I know that you are a big fan of Garfield. I'm wearing my little cat ears hat so as to honor your favorite character, who is an orange cat, so not like the hat that I'm wearing, but still like a cat and all that. So, this is a commenter who frequently, uh, returns to my videos. I assume they're subscribed to me. I don't really. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure because they return frequently. So, they frequently post about Garfield, and originally I was hostile towards their presence, not truly hating them, but vocally letting them know that I was not a Garfield fan. But since getting to know this commenter, I've decided that they're chill, and I've come around with my opinion of Garfield. Perhaps I was a bit prejudiced against Garfield the cat. Um, Not Carfield. That would be like if Garfield was a car, which is different. So just, that's not what he is. He's an orange cat, for those unaware. He loves lasagna, and he hates Mondays. So you gotta take that into consideration when you're thinking about this guy. Um, he is the pet of John Arbuckle, and he does have a dog friend who he's not kind to, named Odie. And Odie is nice to Garfield, but Odie doesn't speak. So I guess because of that, Garfield regards Odie as lesser. However, it could be presumed, mayhaps, that Odie only speaks in dog language, something which Garfield does not understand. So perhaps it's actually a story of xenophobia. But I'm not gonna push that theory because that's just a conspiracy theory. And, I don't mean to paint Garfield Lover 1976's favorite character as some sort of racist, you know? That would be wrong. But you can see the argument there, possibly. I mean, maybe Odie just doesn't speak, but I will say I would like it if Garfield got along with Odie more. I do think that there are some issues with the character. His sort of attitude, he is a little bit callous towards others. He does have a selfish streak, you know? But I suppose in a way he is lovable because of that, because we can all sort of relate to something like that, you know? I do think that humans are often self-motivated, and it's often kind of a fantasy. We like to indulge in the fantasy of being a fat cat who just lays around, eats lasagna, and has nothing to worry about, you know? And I suppose in that regard, Garfield is actually quite appealing. So, we can relate to the desire to be this cat who gets to indulge in lasagna and be lazy and not worry about anything. Um, and he hates Mondays, but for what? He has no job. And I suppose that's a bit funny when you think about it, because there's this, I think it's a common fantasy for human beings to desire the lack of responsibilities and maturity that comes with being an animal. We like to fantasize about being an animal partially because of the idea of living in a more childlike state. Like there's a connection there, wanting to be young again and wanting to be an animal, because with both states there's a lack of responsibility and there's more opportunity for adventure rather than rigid routine and mundanity or is mundanity a word? Just like the mundane, the boring of this of life, you know? Um there would be a lot more exploring and things like that, adventures if you're still a child or if you're an animal. You get to just discover with boundless curiosity, or relax whenever you want. And it kind of reminds me of that song I Don't Want to Grow Up by the Ramones, where Joey says he wants to be a dog. It makes total sense, you know? He wants to be a kid, and then he wants to be a dog, and there's not really any confusion there because the desire is similar. So in a way, Garfield is actually quite meaningful, quite philosophical. Though he is a cat, he speaks to a very human kind of experience. And in fact, perhaps Garfield is deeply profound and actually unites us all, you know? Maybe he's actually like a symbol for, like, human innocence and desire to return back to a simpler time. And in fact, perhaps that is reflected within Garfield Lover 1976's username itself, because it reflects wanting to go back to the past. It's all connected and makes total sense. Garfield Lover 1976, I'm sorry for sending you that link to an old video where I said that this is an anti-Garfield household. I was wrong for doing that, because this is now a pro-Garfield household. Mind you, I'm living in a different house than I did back then. But that's the thing. It just goes to show that there can be changes in life, and there can be changes in people's attitudes, and it's very beautiful, and it's fine, and it's okay. I'll see you later, alligator. Or, Garfield lover. Whatever, Are you actually lovers with Garfield? Like, are you in a relationship with Garfield? That would be wild. That's a different kind of lover. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. I know that's personal. Or shall I say snursenal, that is snail personal. That's something I like to say, but that's unrelated. I know we're talking about cats right now, but I say snursenal because it's funny. I'm sure you understand. I'll see you later, man. Peace out. That's all I gotta say.